of the X Squad, one of the brightest young minds in sports talk radio. My good friend Kevin Gray is in the building. Kevin, what's good, man? What's going on in Big D?
Jeff Fox, man, I always got time for you, man. It's a whole lot going on. It's training camp for the Dallas Cowboys, preseason NFL. You know how it is. It's a busy time down here in Big D right now.
No doubt, no doubt. And congratulations, of course, to the X Squad, man. Clutch Talk Sports Radio, of course, a big part of it. And you're a part of the Sports Radio America Network as well. I see guys are on YouTube and everywhere else, man. And I'm saying that you're making an impact and doing what you do, man. So I'm very, very proud of what you guys are doing, and I encourage you to keep it going.
Thank you so much. Happy anniversary to the X Squad 1 year ago today. Keith Ingram launched the X Squad Radio Network, so shout out to him and the entire X Squad. And that means a lot coming from you, Jeff. I know you've been in the business for a long time, so hearing that from you, that means a lot. So I really appreciate that.
No doubt, no doubt. And you guys do good work, man. So let's get right to it. What exactly is going on with this Dak thing? I'm hearing he wants 30. I'm hearing that he wants 40. And I'm hearing that, people are leaking out information. What's the climate like right now in Dallas? What are people saying? What are those Cowboy fans saying about Dak Prescott in this situation?
Yeah, so it's really interesting, right? Obviously, James Slater put out the report that Dak had been offered $30 million, and he was like, nah, I want $40 million. Then Dak and his people were like, nah, we didn't ask for $40 million. So it's a lot of conflicting information, and this is part of the negotiation process. And I've said on my show and everywhere else that, when these things get done, they get done when there's much more silence. Things are really loud right now. The Cowboys love drama as it is, as you've seen with, Ezekiel Elliott and his holdout. The Cowboys like to thrive when it comes to drama. But these things get done when things go quiet, and there's just a lot of noise right now. And honestly, look, I don't mind Dak shooting for the moon. If you shoot for the moon, you land on the stars. So, him asking, if he asked for $40 million, I didn't necessarily have a problem with it. But at the same time, to me, the realistic number, and I've had to kind of modify it since, initially when we started talking about this back in maybe February or so, Katie Drummond of the Cowboys Wire did a terrific article on it, talking about kind of the numbers that Dak could be potentially, receiving. And that number started at about $30 million. And then you saw Russell Wilson get his brand new contract, becoming the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And then Carson Wentz got his money. He gets around 32, annual average salary, per year now. So Dak has been a much more accomplished player than folks like Matthew Stafford, Kirk Cousins, even Carson Wentz, who, yes, has a Super Bowl ring, but at the same time wasn't the QB on the field that won the Super Bowl ring.
Right.
So in a vacuum, is Dak a $32 to $34 million quarterback in a vacuum? No, he's not. But in today's market, based on his accomplishments, based on his numbers, and based on what the market has already put out there, Dak is well within range of being a $32 to $34 million a year quarterback. And that's just the elevated and skyrocketed numbers that you see for quarterbacks these days. So when folks get charged up about, Dak Prescott, is he worth $30 million? It isn't necessarily about that. It's about what does the market dictate. And the market dictates that, yeah, he's a $30+ million a year quarterback.
So Jerry got to pay him then. I mean, if that's what the market says, you got to pay him. I mean, he's 32 and 16 as a starter, 2 Pro Bowls in 3 years. Pretty much put Tony Romo on the unemployment line. They sent him to television or whatever. But look at Dak, look at Cousins, you look at Wentz. You got to pay him. You got to pay him, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, he's more accomplished than Matt Stafford, more accomplished than Kirk Cousins, more accomplished than Carson Wentz. The numbers, as you just laid out, are comparable for a guy, especially going into his 4th year, to earn that kind of money. And Cowboy fans have got to get past the idea of what Dak is worth in a vacuum. They got to get past this number, $30 million, and trying to compare him. I'm not saying he's Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying he's Tom Brady or Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, whoever you wanted to insert in there. But based on his career path trajectory, based on the first 3 years and where his career could be potentially going, the longer the Cowboys wait to get this done, the more expensive it could get. Because let's say, for example, the Cowboys are like, look, we're going to break off talks. They want to get something done. Let's say they break off talks, and then they say, Dak, go into this year, prove it in your fourth year, and then we'll revisit it after next year. So let's say Dak goes out and balls this year. Folks like Patrick Mahomes are ready to negotiate, are going to be able to negotiate a new contract after next year. Andrew Luck will most likely, if he's able to get healthy, he'll get a new contract at some point also. So this could get more expensive. Cam Newton also coming down the pike here soon also. This could get much more expensive for the Dallas Cowboys if they don't get this done now and if they make Dak Prescott go prove it for another year, which I don't think they're willing to do. They've all been on the same page talking about they want to get something done before week one. And I still think that they are on that track. It's just that these things get a little bit more muddied when folks start going back and forth about numbers and talking about it in the media. So once things kind of quiet down, then we'll see how things move forward.
We're talking with Kevin Gray, of course, from Clutch Talk Sports Radio in Dallas, and, of course, the X Squad as well. Kevin, when you look at the big three, Jerry's got a unique situation. You got to pay Zeke Elliott, you got to pay Amari Cooper, and then you got this situation with Dak. But Jerry usually gets these things done. However, this is a new Dallas Cowboys big three. And going by the record of the original big three, I was just talking with our producer, Eric, about it, 3 Super Bowls in 4 years. I don't think you guys are expecting 3 Super Bowls out of Dak Prescott, are you?
No, and for Cowboy fans, look, this is what happens when, you draft well. Will McClay has done a fantastic job of drafting well, scouting and drafting for the Dallas Cowboys. And this is what happens when you draft good players. And when you are able to draft a Jalen Smith, when you're able to draft a Byron Jones, a Dak Prescott, and Ezekiel Elliott, who you used on your number 4 overall pick in 2016, and then you go get, an Amari Cooper. This is what happens when you get good players on your football team. These guys are going to be coming up for their contracts. And not only does the Zeke situation, the Dak situation, the Amari Cooper situation affect those 3, but it affects Jalen Smith, it affects Leighton Vander Esch, it affects Byron Jones and some of these other guys.
Yep.
We've already seen DeMarcus Lawrence get his money. So Jerry knows how to get deals done. He's been doing this long enough to where he knows how to get things done. But what he has to understand is that this is a different age and a different kind of player. These players will not hesitate in holding out. They will not hesitate in doing what they feel like they have to do to get paid. And you're seeing the example with Ezekiel Elliott holding out, even in going into his third year, to his fourth year in the NFL. So these guys are a little bit different now, and Jerry and Stephen Jones are starting to figure out how to deal with these guys. And until they figure it out, consistently going forward, you're going to have these situations, pop up from time to time, and go from there. So we'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, there's some people, who look at Dak and what he brings to the table, and it's just his talent alone, and they compare him to a Marcus Mariota, like around a $20 million a year guy. I think that's an injustice. You can't do that to Dak. This guy, when you look at what the others are getting, he's going to have to get paid. He's going to have to get at least 30, at least that, and that's fair,
Agree. I think it's completely fair based on the numbers, based on his accomplishments. And more so, look, the criticisms of Dak are fair. At times, he turns the ball over too much.
Yep.
At times, he takes too many sacks. There are very fair criticisms of Dak Prescott. And there's even, obviously, conversations down here in Dallas about how much is Dak's worth tied to the success of Ezekiel Elliott, which is also a fair question. So there are questions surrounding Dak, but at the same time, this is what happens when you have a scarcity of talent at the quarterback position. Once you find a pretty good one, just like how we saw Kirk Cousins get those $28 million guaranteed for 3 years. Once you find a decent quarterback, you're going to have to pay him. And the Cowboys have found themselves more than a decent quarterback in Dak Prescott. And this is what you have to do. You got to pay him.
Hey, of the big 3 that we're looking to take care of right now, which one is the most expendable? Which one would you probably see not getting a deal done? Or is all 3 of them, you think, going to be taken care of?
Well, Dak Prescott, to me, Amari Cooper, both of those guys' contracts are up at the end of this year. So if I'm talking about who is expendable, the value of a quarterback is such that you really can't get rid of that guy. Mm-hmm. And by process of elimination, Ezekiel Elliott is technically under contract for the next 2 years.
Yep.
So I guess I would have to say Amari Cooper if we're talking about the most expendable out of those three, especially if you continue to see the emergence of a Michael Gallup. But the Cowboys want to keep all three of these guys. And if I'm Jerry, if I'm Stephen Jones, honestly, my number one priority is Ezekiel Elliott, not just because he's leapfrogged himself at the front of the line because of his holdout, but he honestly is the reason why we're talking about Dak Prescott getting the kind of money that he's getting. Zeke's the reason why the Cowboys are in the conversation for potentially, going deep into the NFC playoffs. Stephen Jones even talked about it this spring that Zeke is the proverbial straw, the proverbial Reggie Jackson, the straw that stirs the drink for the Dallas Cowboys. So, the question is, how much do they really value that and they're willing to put their money where their mouth is with respect to Zeke and get him paid? I think he should be the highest paid running back in the NFL. I think he's the best running back in the NFL. And even though running backs are treated much more differently than most skilled positions in the NFL, Zeke is worth every dime that he's should get paid, and he's not willing to put another 300 touches on him this year or next year for a combined $13 million, and I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, the soap opera continues, man, like sands through the hourglass. So are the days of our Cowboys. Kevin Gray, man, Clutch Talk Sports. Thank you, Kevin, for jumping on with us, man, on short notice especially, man. Congrats once again to the X Squad. And let everybody know real quick where they can find you at.
Appreciate it, man. Please follow us all over social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at CT Sports Radio. And go to youtube.com, search Clutch Talk Sports Radio. Subscribe to our YouTube page and get more of what you just heard here on the Jeff Fox Show with Gigi Fontaine. And, Jeff, I appreciate the time. I'm happy X Squad anniversary and then X Squad Day to the entire X Squad. And congratulations to everything that you got going on down there in South Florida, man.
Thank you so much. We'll do it again, my friend.
Sounds good.
All right, there it is, everybody. Of course, Clutch Talk Sports, Kevin Gray. Gigi Fontaine is in the building, and she's going to be so proud of me when I tell her what I did this morning. Yes, your boy went hard, sweating. Gigi.
You went to the gym?
I went to the gym, and I put in work.
I'm proud of you. I think I need to switch gyms. My gym stressed me out.
So I heard. Oh, we got a lot more to get into, man. It's the Big O Show. Jeff Fox and Gigi Fontaine filling in all the way until 4 o'clock this afternoon right here on 1210 The Man, where you are the man.